Communication is one of the most difficult things for anyone to master. And when you master it, it's really amazing because it just helps you hone in your boundaries with people. When you haven't mastered it, it creates all kinds of problems, either as the one that is communicating it to someone or as the one that is receiving the correspondence. And this comes out sometimes in terms of what I call trap questions. It can make or break you, and I have had to learn how to respond to those kind of questions. For example, can I ask you a favor? Somebody walks up to you and say, can I ask you a favor? No, maybe not. Because that question is not necessarily as amiable as you would think it is. Can I ask you a favor? Seems quite respectful. But if it's a favor, which means I may or may not be able to do whatever it is that you're about to ask me. And for someone like me, I might say, no, unfortunately, I'm unavailable. Because whatever it is that you want, the favor is, I'm just not available to do it because I know what my schedule look like. If you respond like that, though, that is a societally challenging response. Because, oh my God, the person was so nice asking you if they can ask you for a favor, and it seems I am a little bit rough on the edges by saying, unfortunately, please don't, because I am busy or I am preoccupied or I am kind of like in a rush. Again, you can respond that way, but most people don't instinctively do that. You just go, yeah, sure. No, sure, not sure. But again, watch out for those kind of questions. Can I ask you a favor? Oh, no, not today. I am preoccupied at the moment. You could even say it with a smile. So that's one of the questions that I just call trap questions that get really tricky sometimes. Another question I consider is when somebody say, what are you doing? That's a tricky question because I don't want to tell you what I'm doing, and I'm not going to lie to you either. So generally speaking, how do you answer that trap question? Because it's tricky. If you answer, oh, I'm doing this and this and that, they're still just going to go back and say whatever it is you want to say. So when somebody asks you, oh, what you doing or what are you doing? Just ignore that question and say, hey, what's up? What are you doing? How can I help? I just go like that. Oh, what are you doing? Hey, how may I help? What's going on? What are you doing? How may I help? You say hi and you say, hi, may I help? Half of the time, 75% of the time, I promise you, they're not going to go back and say, I said, what are you doing? Because they are mindless questions. These questions are trap questions because they are mindless questions. They don't really matter, but we just get used to asking them as just part of our regular communication on a day-to-day. So, what are you doing? Hey man, how may I help? And then you go from there. The last question that is a complete trap question is, do you have some time tomorrow? It depends. It really does depend because I may have time, but I may not have time to do whatever it is you are about to propose that we do. So when it comes to communication, it is quite important for you to be crystal clear about what it is that you're answering or the way you just talk to people. Do you have some time tomorrow? Why ask people that? Just ask them, tomorrow I'll need your help with blah, blah, blah. Are you available? That is a better way of communicating your need or asking someone for their time instead of just randomly asking, do you have time tomorrow? Usually my answer is, it depends. because it really does depend. Again, I may have time, but not time for whatever it is you want us to be doing. This works both ways, right? It's not just about the person asking the question. It's also about the person responding. And as a person yourself watching this, be mindful of how you ask people for stuff. Because you just don't know where they are with stuff in their life. Don't ask them questions that puts them in a difficult position. So for example, you ask me, do you have time tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah. And you said, well, I'm thinking we should go, to the jazz bar at 6 p.m. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I thought you said you had time. Yeah, I have time, but not for that. And then sometimes people take it personal or whatever the case may be. We can just avoid all of that. by not being a person that asks these trap questions. And when you do get those questions from others, by responding as amiably as possible. You don't have to snap at people, but at the same time, you don't have to commit. It depends. It's a response that works all the time. What are you doing? It depends. Do you have some time tomorrow? It depends. How are you doing or what you're doing? How may I help? You're completely not answering that question because sometimes you just don't want to tell people what you're doing or where you are. That's another interesting one. I know I said that was the last one, but people say, where are you or where are you at? And I'm like, what do you need? How can I help? Because where I am does not have anything to do with whatever it is you're about to say. Remember, many of these trap questions are automatic questions that are really just built into our diction at this point. You don't have to entertain or participate in them, but you also don't have to always let them piss you off or annoy you, because at the end of the day, this is just a societal thing. It's not the person trying to clock you. No, be ready to respond to it, and also be mindful not to be a person asking these trap questions. Take good care.